Do you call this the Riverwalk? Okay, you do. Because there's no signs on it. We just assumed that's probably what it was called. We did see it somewhere. It's fantastic. It's just stunning. And then you had some really great sports fields. This is Beaumont Field. And we just saw all these sports fields. We thought maybe that could be a focus. Who knows? We also saw Echo Park, which is, where is it? Right here, right? Right outside the doors here. And once again, we thought, man, why don't you have vendors out here, renting things? I don't know why you don't monetize things. That could be a small business opportunity for somebody. And maybe do cross-country skis in the winter. So anyway, and I don't know if anything really happens, at this part. Now, we saw lots of people fishing. If fishing is a good thing, I would probably put a sign there. What we do is we put rules and regulations and say, here's what you'll catch. Here's where you can get a fishing license. Go to the hardware store, monetize it. Our first thing is there a place we could rent boats? Do people do river rafting in Burlington? They do. They don't? They don't. They do some kayaking. But you have to go to Waterford in order to rent a kayak, right? See what I mean? So we're here, we can't rent bikes, we can't go on your trails, we can walk places, but you're not monetizing your tourism. Or people that may say, which we ride these trails, we say, wow, we should live here. And while we were there, we thought, oh, look, a marina over there, we can go, maybe they rent boats. Yeah, I'm getting there. And I even thought, here you are at this beautiful park, and here's a mom, stand-up paddling boarding with her daughter. And I thought, man, there's a small business opportunity for somebody. This would be a perfect lake for, Jay and I were thinking, man, we'd like to go rent a couple of stand-up paddleboards to try our hand at it, right? Can't rent them. You don't monetize things. And if we rent those, we have a good time, we might say, we should just live here. See what I mean? So we drove into Waterford and we saw this little park, and immediately we went, yay, somebody in Racine County actually rents kayaks and canoes, because we couldn't even find anything like this in Racine. There is one? Well, 6th Street and somewhere. Well, you know what? We never found it. I'll remind them of that Friday morning. But this is so great. So we did walk in there, we did talk to the lady, and I think her son or a young guy there, and if we would have had time, we would have done it. Now, here was our challenge. When I said, if we wanted to rent kayaks, would you suggest we go in the river, the lake? Because looking at the lake right here, which is, I think, do you call this a lake? It's just an extension of the river, whatever it is. But there's people already up there kayaking. Now, the young man said, if it was me, I would go down the river. Because when you're up here, you're also competing with all the motorized boats and everything, which is a really good point. So then we said, well, that's a really good point, but is there a way we could, and by the way, when you look at this, it looks like if you go above the dam, which is, I think we're like right in here, right? And then it looks like this lake is really expansive and everything. I thought, wow, look at all these little places you could do. Now, of course, when we went to the photograph of it, it looked totally different. Although today it might look like that drawing up here, right? So anyway, we thought, well, we would love to rent the kayaks and go down the river to Rochester, right? Would that be, there's a dam at Rochester? But even if you could go all the way to Burlington, if there was a way somebody would bring us back. Because if we're going to spend 2 or 3 hours going down the river, and it wasn't running as fast as it is now, but it was running pretty fast even last weekend, we didn't want to go down there and then paddle all the way back up. And I think we would have been willing to pay more. Because of that, we didn't do it. Because we didn't want to be out there with power boats, and we thought the river would be fantastic, but we did not want to come all the way back upstream. So I think there's an opportunity for them down the road to maybe offer that, hey, for an extra such and such, every day at 5 o'clock or whatever time, we'll meet you there and we'll pick up the kayaks or whatever. Make sense?